At an industrial facility, a worker was operating near a large shredding machine while handling materials in close proximity to the active equipment. In a sudden and tragic moment, the worker was pulled into the shredder mechanism. By the time other workers noticed what had happened and rushed to the scene, it was already too late to prevent the fatal outcome. This devastating incident highlights the extreme dangers of operating around heavy industrial machinery, particularly shredders with powerful moving parts. These machines are designed to break down materials with tremendous force and pose catastrophic risks to anyone who comes into contact with their operating mechanisms. In a residential neighborhood in Whitehall, Ohio, a two-person sanitation crew was performing their routine collection duties. The workers were emptying blue waste bins into the back of their garbage truck, following their standard procedures. As one worker stepped back from the truck, a sudden and violent explosion erupted from the compactor area. The blast, caused by an oxygen tank that had been improperly disposed of in one of the bins, sent debris flying across the street and rattled the entire vehicle. This incident underscores a critical, but often overlooked aspect of waste management safety: proper disposal of hazardous materials. Oxygen tanks, propane cylinders, batteries. On a highway bridge, road maintenance workers were performing routine duties in what appeared to be a designated work zone. The crew members, wearing high visibility clothing, were positioned near their equipment with their vehicle, and when a car transport truck approached the area, it hit their vehicle, and one of them worker standing near the vehicle. After the hit, one of the vehicles being transported became dislodged and fell from the carrier upon that one worker upper body. The falling vehicle struck a worker, pinning him beneath its weight. This tragic incident highlights the compounded risks that maintenance crews face when working on active roadways. Not only must these workers remain vigilant of passing traffic, but they are also vulnerable to equipment failures and improperly secured loads from vehicles traveling through their work zones. At a water treatment facility, a large industrial cooling tower was operating as part of routine processes. Workers were present in the vicinity of the structure when, without warning, a massive explosion erupted from the top of the tower. The blast was so powerful that it launched 3 workers hundreds of feet into the air, their bodies visible against the sky as debris scattered in all directions. The workers were eventually thrown back down to the ground from this tremendous height. This catastrophic incident appears to have involved a hydrogen explosion within the tower system. Hydrogen is extremely flammable and forms explosive mixtures with air even at low concentrations. In industrial cooling systems and treatment facilities, hydrogen accumulation can occur due to various chemical processes or equipment malfunctions. Without proper ventilation, monitoring, and safety protocols, these invisible pockets of gas can ignite with devastating force. Industrial facilities working with flammable gases must implement continuous gas detection systems, ensure adequate ventilation in all enclosed spaces, conduct regular equipment inspections, and establish strict hot work permit procedures. At a construction site, workers were performing tasks near a retaining wall while an excavator operated nearby. The heavy machinery was too close to the edge of the elevated structure when the operator misjudged the safe distance. The weight and vibrations from the excavator caused the retaining wall to suddenly collapse, sending debris cascading down onto several workers positioned below. In the ensuing chaos, the excavator itself also tumbled over the edge, falling directly onto the workers who had just been struck by the collapsing wall materials. This catastrophic incident highlights multiple critical failures in construction site safety. Retaining walls and elevated surfaces have load-bearing limits that must be strictly observed, and heavy equipment should never operate within the critical distance of such edges without proper engineering assessment. In a hospital corridor, patients, visitors, and staff were going about their normal activities in what appeared to be a routine day. People were walking through the hallway, some waiting near the pharmacy entrance, while others stood or sat in the common area. Without warning, a large section of the ceiling suddenly gave way and collapsed. The suspended ceiling panels, structural components, and debris came crashing down onto the people below, striking multiple individuals who had no time to react or escape. This shocking incident exposes critical failures in building maintenance and structural integrity monitoring, particularly concerning in a healthcare facility where vulnerable populations gather. Ceiling collapses can result from various factors, including water damage, structural deterioration, inadequate support systems, or substandard construction practices. Hospitals and public buildings must implement rigorous inspection schedules to identify signs of structural weakness, such as sagging, water stains, cracks, or visible deterioration. At a demolition site, 2 excavator operators were working to bring down a standing structure. The operators were positioned in their machines, using the excavators to systematically dismantle the building. As they pulled at the structure, it began to collapse as intended. However, the demolition did not go according to plan. The structure fell in an unexpected direction, coming down directly onto one of the excavators and crushing the cab where the operator was seated. The second excavator and its operator, positioned at a safer distance, remained unharmed. This tragic incident reveals the extreme hazards inherent in demolition work when proper planning and safety protocols are not followed. Controlled demolitions require detailed engineering assessments to predict collapse patterns. At a cotton mill facility, 2 workers were standing on a service elevator platform as it transported them between floors. The industrial lift was moving vertically along its shaft when one of the workers positioned himself too close to the edge of the platform. As the elevator continued its motion, the worker's head became caught between the moving elevator platform and a fixed structure in the shaft. The mechanism trapped and twisted his head. The second worker on the platform was unable to prevent the accident. This horrifying incident highlights the deadly risks associated with industrial service elevators and the critical importance of maintaining safe positioning at all times. At a construction site in a residential area, a worker wearing high visibility orange clothing was performing duties near a building structure. A crane with a red boom was operating in the vicinity, apparently involved in lifting or positioning materials. During the operation, a pole or structural element that was being handled or was part of the site setup became unstable. The pole fell from its position and struck the worker below. This tragic incident highlights the critical dangers of falling objects at construction sites, one of the leading causes of workplace fatalities.